Hello and welcome back to Future You, the podcast brought to you by graduate careers experts Prospects. I'm your host, Emily Slade, and in this episode, I chat to Tom about being a life coach.
I'm Tom, and I'm a life coach, health and life coach.
Amazing. So what is a health and life coach?
So very similar to how we're sat now. I host sessions where I'll talk to someone about whatever it is they're wanting to achieve in their life. We'll start with a big, broad goal, and my job is to help you get there in the simplest way possible, breaking down the steps bit by bit to see how we can get you closer to where you want to be. That's the simplest terms.
Okay. So what makes you different from a therapist?
I won't sit there and talk to you massively about your feelings or try and give you massive techniques to coach you on your feelings. So that's not what I'm qualified to do. Therapy is a whole different ball game where we're talking about trauma and things that have happened in your past to be like, why are you the way you are? My job is to give you kind of daily actions that can kind of maybe change the way you look at things to get you closer to either a small goal or the big goal. So we'll talk about how maybe we could wake up a little bit earlier and the small things we could do on a daily basis to get us to do that. Whereas your therapist might talk a little bit more about why are you like this? If I don't really deal with the why am I like this, I accept you're like you are who you are, and we just try and find a way to make you a little bit more streamlined in your daily life.
Okay. So what you mentioned you're not qualified to be a therapist. What are you qualified for?
Myself, I'm a certified health and life coach. So that isn't a protected term in any way. So there's nothing that I can do that someone on the street wouldn't be able to do. However, I've got the techniques and the learning to back that up. Whereas anyone could call themselves a life coach, but I wanted to go down a route where I actually learned what I was doing. My background is sport and exercise science as well. So when it comes to the exercise part of lifestyle and the nutritional part, I'm certified as a sport and exercise scientist. So I can give that expertise when it comes to the exercise and the health side of things. Other than that, it's nothing. I won't touch anything if I don't feel qualified to. So I'll very much try and stay in my lane around, right, can you do this a little bit better rather than saying, if you do this, you will get this result. It has to be worded in a very specific way.
Okay. But you've done no official certification.
So I've done a health and life coaching certification through the Health Coach Institute, which is an American-based company. I did that. That was a year-long course where we did loads of work experience, like face-to-face Zooms. We did loads of online learning, and that gave me a qualification with them. But the term life coach hasn't got a national governing body or anything like that. Personally, I don't think people should go into and see a life coach or a health coach without them having had some sort of official training. I think you learn so many techniques on how to talk to people, what you should say, what you shouldn't say, topics you should try and steer to, rather than just someone who's lived a full life and thinks they should be able to talk to people about anything. I think having that background, that qualification to sit behind also gives you a little bit more credibility as well.
That's an interesting point you made because you're quite young.
Yes, 100%.
If you'll allow me to say.
Yes.
And so there might be an argument that because you haven't lived as long, you don't have the experience to pass on, but it's not about wisdom of the ages. It's about understanding how to approach topics.
People will come to you with topics that you haven't lived and experienced, and that shouldn't ever be a problem. If you've lived the way I view it, and the way I've always been able to kind of put across my point on this, is that if someone has lived those experiences that you're coming to me with, then I'm going to be blinded in a certain way. Well, this worked for me. Maybe this will work for you as well. Whereas someone who, I'm 27 years old, I haven't lived these lives where I'm working with 40-year-old women wanting to lose weight who have been stuck in the slimming world cycle for 20 plus years. I haven't lived that life, but I can sit at it from a completely objective standpoint and look at their lives as they are and hear what they're trying to say with no kind of preconceived thoughts on what they should do, what they shouldn't do. And that kind of opens up to across all aspects. So no matter what someone comes to me with, it feels nice for me to not have experienced that because I can give some feedback based on how I see that situation. That it's going to be a completely different compared to what they might have thought. Because if I've lived that, then I'll have those same sort of experiences. It's nice to come from a fresh perspective.
Absolutely. So I assume then you're not part of any wider agency. You are a sole freelancer.
Yeah, 100%. So I do it all off myself, and I always have done. It was kind of a smooth transition from personal training into life coaching. It was nice and easy for me to stay self-employed. I could do a little bit of personal training. I could do my life coaching until one took over from the other. And it was really simple where the life coaching starts getting busier. So I was able to cut down the personal training. There's no I think there are, well, I think there are a few places now that will hire, like big corporate companies, where they'll hire a life coach to help with their staff as almost part of an HR aspect or a well-being aspect. But that's not something I ever kind of went into. There's a couple of times where I did talks for corporate companies just on a lunch break, talk to their members of staff about, right, if there were three things you could do better to make your lives better, what would they be? And give them a little 45-minute rundown. But no, it's always been kind of mainly one-to-one coaching is what I've enjoyed.
So what do you enjoy about it? What got you into life coaching?
Well, life coaching started for me because I was personal trainer and I was seeing the same pattern. Either people would come to me and they were like, yes, this is amazing. I'm losing loads of weight. I'm doing everything Tom tells me to. So I'm going to keep doing this. Or people would come to me and they'd be like, I'm trying to do what Tom's telling me, but it's not really working for me. I'm struggling to stick to what he's saying. And that got really frustrating where people were like, I really want to lose the weight or I really want to get fitter. And I've given them all the tools that they could need. They've got all the knowledge. And then they go away for the week. I come back and be like, did you do the three things we asked you to do? And they say, no. So for me, it was, I wanted to start understanding why people were like that. So it became more of an intrigue to me because I'd never struggled with that personally. So it became more of an intrigue where it's like, why are people paying me for a service and not implementing the things from someone who's a professional in that field? So it got me looking into kind of coaching people about their lifestyle more and how we could delve a little bit deeper into the smaller aspects of how to get someone closer to their goals. So that's when I started doing the coaching course. And from there, it was okay, I'm seeing people make these small changes more often than not. So that became really rewarding. And seeing then massive changes over a 6 to 8 week period from something just being as simple as almost taping a glass of water to their hand at all times throughout a day. Something as silly and simple as that started making massive changes. So I really like that butterfly effect of the coaching.
Oh, brilliant. So are there any myths about being a life coach that you would like to debunk?
I think the biggest one we touched on is you have to have the lived experience of it. I couldn't disagree with that more. I could see that why people would have that thought of how can someone talk about like this aspect without having any experience of how can someone talk to me about a food addiction even or a chronic fatigue when they haven't lived that themselves. I think that is the thing that sticks to me the most and kind of the challenge I had the most when getting into it was how can someone do this when they don't know how I feel? To get around that, it was more about showing people that when someone listens and takes in what you're saying, then there's so many different avenues you can go down. It doesn't has to be, well, I did this, so this is the fix for you. Everyone's so individual. There's definitely no one one shoe fits all.
Hmm. Is there no one client fits all as well? Did you have to deal with a variety of different, like,
You definitely find your niche 100%. I definitely found my niche was more down the health and the lifestyle route. But I remember having clients who wanted to work on their confidence to be able to speak better at work or how to maybe find the next step in their career. Or they'd come to me thinking, well, I just feel flat. And people would use the word, I just feel depressed. And I'm sat there and I'm like, well, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to get you out of your depression. That's not me. But how can I give you an extra 10%? Make you 10% feel better. Where in your life are you feeling less fulfilled? How can we make that easier for you so you feel that little bit happier? But yeah, definitely I ended up down more of the niche of the health and the lifestyle side of things. But I think it was more my environment of where I was. I was set up in a gym, so I had a office in a gym, and I think that definitely attracted a certain type of person to me for sure. But yeah, when you work with one type of person, you definitely get better at dealing with those things. You get the same sort of topics come up and you see, well, that sort of topic didn't really, that conversation, how I handled that didn't land well for that person. Let's try a different avenue with this individual straight away and see how that lands. So you kind of learn how to approach certain conversations because you're seeing them more.
do you have a fixed time that you see them for? Do they sign up for sort of 6 to 8 weeks, or is it, could they be with you for the year, 2 years, 2 days?
It was always an initial, how I would structure it was we'd do an initial 6 to 8 weeks. So depending on a consultation, so I'd do a consultation first of all, and we would then decide if it was something kind of lifestyle. I've always felt confident. 6 weeks, we'll talk about this given topic. If it was something that would sound a little bit more complicated or it had a few more layers to it, then we're doing like an 8 week package instead. After that, we would have a conversation at the end of the of whatever package and be like, "Okay, how are we feeling in this? What have you achieved so far? What do you feel like you would still like to achieve?" And then I'd go on to rolling sessions kind of on a bi-weekly basis with people, depending on if they felt that was necessary. It always felt like I was just trying to help people rather than then trying to do a hard sale, which was always nice because you got the best out of me as an individual. You're so much better at your job when you're not focused on, I really need this person to stay on and sign up. It's so much better at your job that way. And then people can see that as well. So then you don't have to worry about the money so much as well.
What kind of person do you think would suit going into the life coach lifestyle?
Patient person, patient, calm, and open. Openness has to be the the key to all of it. If you're not open, then people are going to see it all over your face when they're sometimes divulging really personal and sensitive things about whether it be addictions or depression or anxiety. And if you've got a slightest bit of judgment on your face, they are going to close up and you're going to get nothing out of them. So I think being open is the biggest one. Patience as well, because sometimes it'll take 3 sessions before someone feels comfortable enough for them to open up to you. And you have to ease into that. Not every time can you just keep pressing and pressing. Sometimes you're going to have a session where you know there's something they want to tell you, but you just can't get it out straight away. You've got to take your time and build that rapport. And yeah, they're the two biggest things that I think are really important for a life coach.
And what advice would you give for somebody looking to enter into this industry?
Go into it and take the plunge if you feel like a job for you is something that you're going to benefit from, feeling like you're helping others. If it if you haven't got that want and need to help others, then it's not a job for you. It's got to be something that's at the really forefront of your mind is I want to help people make a change. I want to see people leave with a smile on their face, sometimes tears in their eyes if you're having a really deep conversation, but they're leaving feeling like a weight's being lifted. And get yourself educated, learn something new. And even once you've done your qualification, if you decide to take that route, because there's loads of courses out there now, is to keep learning and self-evaluating. Even now, I will spend a little bit of time each week where I just go over the sessions I've had to see what I've done well. And I think it can be quite hard to do that when you're in like a solo working environment. You have to be self-analytical. And if not, because there's no one there to say you could have done that a little bit better, and you got your boss over your shoulder the whole time. You don't have that in this environment. So I think really take pride in your education in terms of learn the right things and keep learning the right things, and to make sure it's something that you think you're going to get loads of personal joy from, because it can be draining, it can be quite emotionally draining. So it's got to be something you feel like brings you some joy and has some happiness to it as well.
And does it come with boundaries? Are you available to your clients 24/7 or only during your sessions?
It is not that it's 24/7. It's primarily in that session. Now, for example, I would allow people to message me and I would set those hours out at the start. So I'd be like, you've got my number, you've got my contact. You're able to message me between these times and you'll get a response within 24 hours. You've got to be very clear on that. Otherwise, people are messaging you and oh my God, I'm really struggling with this. It's like, no, I'm trying to eat my dinner. I'm trying to wind down for bed. You can't have that open-ended like communication with someone because it will never stop. So being very clear on your boundaries, whatever though, some people will turn around and say, oh, yeah, you can talk to me in the session and that's it. Me, I didn't feel right doing that, and not to say those people are wrong for it. I think the most important thing is with any relationship when it comes to having clients is set clear boundaries right from the start and make sure those boundaries are respected. So if someone does message you out of those times, fine, just bring it up next time. We set out these times. I will get back to you. I've given myself a 24-hour window to do so. So you just clear boundaries are key.
Hmm. Was there anything else that you wanted to mention?
I think the thing that I want to mention most about it is how rewarding it can be. And that reward doesn't just come on like oh yes, they've hit that one goal. You see so many small personal developments in people, and that can really stick with you in the future. There's been times where I've seen posts on Facebook like a year or two later from working with someone that is still like, oh well, I know I've played a part in that. And I think it just takes the right person. And for anyone out there that's either thinking, oh, I could do with life coaching, find different people. Not everyone's the right fit for you. And make sure you have a good connection with someone, because I might not be right for someone. And also someone might not be right for me as a client. So finding that balance about finding the right person and is the most important thing about being a life coach, is being the right person for someone.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Emily.
Thanks again to Tom for their time. For more information on becoming a life coach, head to prospects.ac.uk or check out the links in the show notes below. For a full-length video version of this episode, check out our YouTube channel at FutureYouPod. If you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. Thank you, as always, for listening, and good luck on your journey to Future You.